Hello, you're watching Proactive. Joining me is Anthony Hamilton. He's Managing Director and CEO of Georgina Energy. Tony, very good to speak with you today. And you've just published your prospectus ahead of a main board listing. For viewers not familiar with the company, tell us a little bit about Georgina Energy.
Thanks, Stephen. Georgina was started in 2019 with myself and my business partner, Mark. And the concept behind it was originating from a gentleman called John Hugh, who's a 50-year veteran in the oil and gas business. And he had a concept which was obvious but very untried. And so Mark and I formed Georgina. Private equity, we've invested over $6.5 million in Georgina before we came to market, of which $2.5 million and rising is Mark and I's personal money. So we actually have our own money invested in this.
You've also just raised £5 million and strong institutional interest as you prepare to list on the London Stock Exchange. What's the attraction for investors, and Tony?
Well, I think, Stephen, that one of the key elements is that the board, the directors, the founders, have £2.5 million of their own money in it. Secondly, we are a well redevelopment company. So we have de-risked the exploration risk as much as possible in that we are re-entering existing wells that were drilled in the 1980s.
And what's the potential you're seeing in those wells for helium, Tony?
In the case of both of the properties, the area of Central Australia, be it in particular the Amadeus Basin, 3 wells have only ever intersected the Heavy Tree Formation, Magee, Mount Kitty and Ducasse. And collectively, they have 100% success rate in producing helium and hydrogen. In the case of both, somewhere between 9 to 10% of helium concentration, and in the case of hydrogen, as high as 12%.
How about your property in the Office Basin, Tony? Because that's said to be one of the most lucrative basins in the Asia-Pacific region.
Yeah, our Hussar asset on the Officer Basin was drilled in 1982. It was relatively shallow drilled. It was drilled to 2,040 metres, but it sits on a very significant structure, what makes Georgina very different is both of our targets are seismically defined. Both of them were drilled for oil and both of them flowed gas. So the concept behind us is that we are essentially, as I said, we're less exploration and geology and more engineering.
So Tony, we've seen quite a few helium companies going to market. Take us through the market dynamics at the moment and why we're seeing such demand for stocks like Georgina Energy.
It's a very simple concept. If I was to ask the average person in the street how their fridge operated, they would certainly be able to tell us that it keeps their food cold, but they wouldn't know what goes into making the fridge operate. In the case of helium, it is the key element in the MRI machinery. It's a key element in cooling for nuclear reactors. It's a key element for hyperdrive engines. And so over the last 10 years, helium's application has exceeded effectively the worldwide supply. So there's now a worldwide shortage. And people don't necessarily understand. It's one of those things that unless people know, they don't know the application of helium in the global market, but it's significant. In fact, so significant that a number of countries, the US, Australia, the UK, have classified helium as a critical element. And in fact, in the US now, they're not allowed to export it.
So Tony, how do you plan to use the £5 million you've raised to take your projects forward and help to meet that demand in the market for helium?
Well, predominantly our first target is Hussar, EP513. The plan there is very simple. We intend to commence re-entry of the well in December of this year. But prior to that, we have undertaken, we've executed our Indigenous native title access agreements in February of this year. So a key element of that is the Indigenous population and making sure that we look after their interests. That's negotiated. We have completed a fully costed re-entry program. We have an engineering program completed. We fully costed, and we flew 3,500 square kilometres with an AEM PTP aerial survey, which has identified on top of the structure a significant gas anomaly, much larger than what was originally produced by the 2D seismic 40 years ago. And then all of those steps will be working towards ultimately a drill rig driving down from Darwin to the site, down a bitumen road, to basically re-enter the well. And that includes, there's a lot of preamble work that goes on before the event starts, whether it's from mobilisation of the equipment, access, clearing the site. We've had people on site, as I said, native title agreement. On top of that, we've also completed an evaluation of the salt cavern storage capacity of the area. And the reason we've done that is because, unlike a lot of our compatriots, we're going to sell the gas at the wellhead. Now, what that's going to do is that is going to mitigate the capital outlay for putting separation plants on site. But at the same time, we've also executed an MOU with Harlequin Energy, funded out of the US. And the reason we've done that, again, is that therefore, when we sell the gas at the wellhead, it's the off-taker's responsibility to store it, transport it, and refine it. We get paid at the wellhead. The rest is somebody else's problem.
Well, Tony, there's lots of news, so I'm sure in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you very much for speaking with us today. I hope you'll keep us updated on any developments.
Absolutely. And I mean, as I said, the success for us is that once we've completed Mount Hussar, Mount Winter, which is our right to earn a 75% interest in farming with Mossman, we'll take what we've learned at Hussar and apply that to Mount Winter. And as I said, we have a lot of activity, and there will be a significant amount of news flow between now and December when we drill the well.
I look forward to speaking to you again soon, and thanks very much, Tony.
Thank you, Stephen.
That's Anthony Hamilton, the Managing Director and CEO of Georgina Energy.